This is the moment, this is the hour, time to put everything on the line. And I am the answer, I am the reason, I'm a believer, it's all inside of me.
Good morning and happy Valentine's Day, wherever you are and whenever you are joining us. If you're in your PJs with a cup of coffee right now, or if it's a completely different time zone and a different time, we want to welcome you today. We welcome you here to Unity of the Blue Ridge, and you're joining a growing number of people and a global consciousness that's committed to personal awakening and to awakening humanity to our spiritual truth, to be that beloved community. So again, we want to thank you for being here today. Before we have a prayer together today, I want to ask you a question, and I wish I could see the hands, but how many of you know what hand-me-downs are? I grew up in a family with a lot of cousins, so I was very familiar with hand-me-downs. In many families or circles of friends, they hand me down. They pass along clothing or things, and then the next child can wear them. Well, I grew up with a lot of hand-me-downs, but I've realized not only was I the recipient of items that were hand-me-downs, that I sure received a lot of hand-me-down beliefs, family traditions, family version facts. I received a lot of mannerisms, and you did too, things that we could call hand-me-downs. Well, today we're going to look at those to say, do they really fit? Are they working for us? Or is it perhaps time to let them go, that they're not ours, to let them go and to create more intentionally? And so as we prepare for that today, it's a 6-week and a 10-week series based on the presence of love, and we've been looking at 10 spiritual laws. And today we're going to talk about the law of correspondence, which is also known as the law of sowing and reaping, or giving and receiving, or cause and effect, or karma. That's a lot of ways of describing what we're going to talk about today, but I invite you to join in an opening prayer. As we turn our awareness within this morning, we do so with that presence of love. We give thanks for this day. We give thanks for what this day represents, love, to be in the presence of love, to experience the joy of love, and to know that we are created as the image of love. We open our hearts this day to realize that we are here to bring forth, to manifest the potential of our soul, and that we're here to create. And so we explore that in a new way today. And for this time together, we are truly grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. I want to thank you for joining again, and I want to thank Richard Schulman, my faithful sidekick, for being here with me, and for the three in the back, Donna, Acela, and Tia. And most of all, we want to thank you. I reached out this week to a dear friend in Lawrence, Kansas, Kelly Hunt. She's a well-known singer, songwriter, and we have her permission to share a beautiful song in her Valentine Red today that says, "It's Not Mine." Enjoy, Kelly Hunt.
I tried to fix the world, but it fell right through my hands. Tried to juggle every detail, every minute, every day. Oh, but it was so exhausting, I couldn't catch my breath. When I finally stopped trying, the world kept spinning anyway. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. Oh, I got to let it go. The ones I love will tumble and fall down to their knees. Oh, I will want to run and save them and take away the pain. But I know they have their own forest to wander in the dark. They will have to make their own way through the storms and the rain. 'Cause it's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. So I'll take the next breath in to remember when I did it on my own, when someone loved me enough to let me find just what was mine all along, and I could be strong. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Thank you.
Isn't that a powerful song? It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, let it go. You know, if you know very much about Unity, the co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, in the late 1800s, a woman with 3 children had a death diagnosis, was told she only had months to live because she was in the end stages of tuberculosis, which at that time, there wasn't any hope. And she believed that she inherited a weak disposition. She believed that, like the other women in her family, that she inherited bad health. Well, that was a hand-me-down belief. And in an unexpected time, she heard a statement that said, Myrtle, you're a child of God. You inherited the life of God. And she was captivated by that thought. And I believe that at that time, Myrtle said to that old thought, it's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. Thank you, Richard. And wow, thank you, Kelly Hunt. I love that song. She was able, it didn't happen immediately, but she was able to really look at those thoughts and to let it go. To let it go and to open up to a higher thought, a higher truth about who she was. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today in week 6. We begin this series talking about the law of oneness, and then the law of equality, and then the law of self-reflection, and then the law of manifestation, to manifest our potential. Last week we talked about the law of free will. Now, today is where it all begins to come together at another level, kind of the how, if you will. When we talk about the law of cause and effect, it's called the law of correspondence, the law of harvest. There's many labels for it. It's called the law of sowing and reaping. It says in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, whatsoever we sow, plant, S-O-W, not S-E-W. Whatsoever we plant or sow, we reap. And that proverb is a universal law, universal teaching. It literally and spiritually, it's true that you will reap whatever is sown. And, you know, if you plant corn, you don't have to wait and guess what's going to come up. If you plant corn, you're going to reap corn. You cannot plant one type of seed and expect something else to grow up. And no one, it would be foolish to go out and plant a bunch of squash and then come in the house the next day and really lament and start crying and say, oh God, I don't want squash. Could you please turn those into cucumbers? Please, please, please turn those into cucumbers. We'd never do that. We would just go dig up the squash seed and plant some cucumber, because you know whatever you plant, you're going to get a return on that investment, that seed. That's what you're going to reap. And so in Galatians, when it says, do not be misled, you cannot ignore God, you cannot ignore universal law. Whatever the person plants, they will harvest. Well, this metaphor that's found in universal traditions means that the sowing or the planting is a metaphor for our actions, our thought actions and our actions. And reaping is a metaphor for the result of those actions. In the Buddhist tradition, it says, as you sow the seed, you shall reap the fruit. This is the nature of karma. Now, the other thing that's really important about this, as we sort of look at some of the first groundwork, if you will, is that the soil is impartial and impersonal. It always says yes. If you plant a tomato seed, it doesn't judge that and say, no, she really doesn't need a tomato, I'm going to give her a cantaloupe. It doesn't do that. The soil just responds. And so the fruits, the outcome, the results are based on what we're planting in the present moment. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. The sun shines on the weeds and the roses. And so we have free will. But what the law of nature that keeps us, I believe, from going so far off track is this law of cause and effect, that they're inexplicably intertwined. And it's hard sometimes to initially comprehend that as we give, so shall receive, that giving and receiving are linked together. But when you reduce it to the image of the plant, that whatever you give forth, whatever you plant, whatever you put in, you will reap the results of that. So when we look at this in our own life to say, okay, so what? So exactly what does that mean about me? Well, it means that whatever we want to experience in life, we must be willing to put that forth. That whatever we're wanting to experience, we have to put it forth. And experience, to personally experience something, requires your personal presence. You see, you experience it with your presence. If you're not present or awake or conscious, you're not aware that you're having that experience. So whatever you're putting forth is flowing from your presence, and you're experiencing that. That's why Eric Butterworth, the Unity writer, said, God can do no more for you than God can do through you. That whatever we want to express, we're asked to put it forth. Those are the seeds that we're planting. There's a story from the Quaker tradition that really shines a light on this. I want to share it with you. As the story goes, it was a number of years ago, and there was a man traveling from town to town in his covered wagon. And he would charge a small fee, and people would gather, and he would demonstrate something pretty remarkable. They called him the magic man, because this man could turn ordinary things into gold, as the story goes. Whatever he pointed to with his hands, it could be a hat from an audience member, it could be a handkerchief, it could be a shovel. Whatever he pointed to with his hands would turn to gold. Well, the crowd were mesmerized, and they cheer and clap. And then they'd leave, and another crowd would come, and the same thing. The man noticed that all day long there was a young boy who stayed through every crowd and who closely watched everything that he did, but the boy never once clapped. And even at the end of the day, when he had the final show and everybody cheered and clapped and they slowly left, the boy was still there. And so he went up to the boy and he said, I can see you're interested in something. You've been fully attentive all day. And so he looked at the boy's shoelaces and he turned them to gold. But the boy shook his head no. And the boy was holding a stick, and so he touched the stick and he turned that to gold, and the boy just still shook his head. And he said, I can see that you're interested. What is it that you want? And the boy said, Sir, I want the hands that can make this happen. I want the hands that can cause this. I want the hands that kind of power will operate through. What a wise boy, and what a wise story. You see, so often in life, we get caught up and focused on the gold, the thing, the outcome. If we could just have golden health, if we could have the golden relationship, the golden job, the golden home, the golden bank account, the golden accomplishments, whatever. We focus on these things, and quite often we try to pursue them, chase them down, if you will, and it's not that desiring or going after those things, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's about understanding what our life is about and the orderliness of how this unfolds. Because what we really truly yearn for, whether we realize it or not, is what we're born for. And that is to be in touch with that power that knows how to manifest. With that power within us that works in accord with the law that says, as I sow, as I plant, as I give forth my life energy, it will return unto me, because it is flowing through me. That whatever I'm seeking to be able to manifest that potential to create. And so like that boy, I think we would say, I want the consciousness that can bring forth the desires of my heart and my soul. I want the consciousness that is in line with the flow of life. I want the consciousness that is attuned to the power of the Holy Spirit that will operate in and through and as me. One of the first things to consider about that then is it requires a shift in perception. That in many ways, these hand-me-down beliefs and race consciousness, we're sort of in a hypnotic state of hand-me-down programming, if you will. Our TV commercials support it. We're in a paradigm in a world that sees things as have, do, and be. If I could have this, I could do this, and then I would be happy. If I could have this degree and this job, if I could have this partner, if I could have this quality of health, if I could have this, I could do these things, and then I would be fulfilled, satisfied, abundant, free. If I could have this, I could do this, and I would be this. Well, what Jesus and the master teachers tried to teach, and what is a part of the law of correspondence or the law of sowing and reaping, is in the spirit world, we need to reverse that. It's be, do, have. That's what the Beatitudes are all about. It's to cultivate a consciousness, an attitude of being that will bring forth these things. You see, if I will be an embodiment, the consciousness of abundance, the consciousness of peace, if I will be the presence of hopefulness, if I will be the place of creativity, then I will be doing things that flow from that being, and I will automatically have the desires of my heart. It's about learning to notice where we're stuck in the have, do, be, and how do we need to reframe that into be. It's about being first. What are the states of being that I am sowing? What are the states of being that I'm embodying and presencing and demonstrating? What are the states of being that I want to experience? And then how do I begin to cultivate my innate potential so that it emerges forth from my being? So whatever we want to experience, we must presence and embody that consciousness. We give forth from that awareness. You reap what you sow. Science is now beginning to say the same thing. This is back from 2009. Dr. Jeffrey Palmer wrote an article, The Nature of Thought Energy. He said, scientists are just beginning to accept the truth about consciousness and have begun to study what mystics have apparently known for centuries. Individual consciousness interacts with the energy of the universe. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are the currencies with which you exchange energy with the universe. Everything that happens in your life is a direct connection with the type of energy you are charging the universe with. Listen to that one again. Everything that happens in your life has a direct connection with the type of energy that you are charging, you are seeding the universe with. You alone are responsible for the type of energy created by your life. We can't, at least I don't know how to always control all the circumstances and every single thing that happens. But what we can certainly seek to control is how we respond. And what energy will I bring? What energy will I project? And so our job then is to bear witness to the seeds and the environment that we maintain. Our job is to clear out those old hand-me-down ideas and thought seeds. Our job is to clear out the old ideas that are keeping them in place. And our job is to plant and nurture the kind of seeds, the kind of consciousness that we want to experience, that we want to live in, and that we want to perpetuate. So for the next few minutes, we're going to look at 4 things. How do we begin to make this practical? These 4 things are my moment, my intention, my environment, and my legacy. The first one, my moment. First and foremost, life is asking us to deal with whatever is right in front of us. There's the greatest opportunity to see, what am I planting? What am I sowing? What am I reaping? In this moment, what's in front of me now? Is it a hand-me-down? I would say, is it real or is it Memorex? Whatever I'm telling myself, whatever I'm dealing with. And the belief that I'm entertaining, the way that I'm acting, is it going to bring about the kind of results, the consciousness that I want to intentionally create? Because you and I are a constant presence, an influence in the midst of every situation we encounter. Our energy matters. What we are sending out truly matters. My moment. Every moment, whatever is before us, is an opportunity to think about, what am I planting? What am I investing my life energy in? I've shared this story before, but it illustrates this so powerfully. It's Dr. Michael Beckwith. Dr. Michael Beckwith is a minister, a writer, teacher. He's the founder of the Agape Spiritual Center, and we've had his former wife here, Ricky. But a few years ago, I heard Michael tell this story, and I was so moved by it. He said that his church, the Agape Center, were planning a cruise where they would have music and speakers. And so they announced this in the fall, and the cruise was going to take place the following spring. It was literally 8 months away. And the Sunday, as soon as he announced it, a woman came up to him after church and said, Dr. Michael, do you have any scholarships? I really want to go on that cruise, but I don't have enough money. And he said, you mean you don't have enough money to pay for it at the moment? She said, correct. I don't make enough money to afford it. Can I get a scholarship? And he said, you mean you don't have enough money to pay for it at the moment? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's my situation. I don't make enough money. I have a fixed income. I can't afford it, but I really want to go. And he said, you mean you don't have enough money to pay for it at the moment, but you're also claiming that 8 months from now, you still won't have enough. He said, why would you claim that for your future? Why not sow new seeds and lay a different future? He said, if I gave you a scholarship, I'd be buying into and reinforcing your story, your error thinking, your consciousness of lack, and that's just the way it is. And Michael said, that goes against everything I believe in. He said, but I'll tell you what, would you be willing to look at those thoughts? Would you be willing to look at those seeds of consciousness? Would you be willing to develop some higher ideas to let it go, let it go? It's not mine, it's not mine. Would you be willing to claim the truth of who you are and the truth of your spiritual potentiality? And she said, I sure will, Dr. Michael. And he said, okay, I'm going to match you up with a Science of Mind practitioner if you'll meet with them 1 hour a week. And so she did. She was very faithful. She began to work with them. She began to look at those hand-me-down beliefs and how she had just locked into them and kept fertilizing those seeds of something she didn't even believe. And without shaming herself, she began to lay hold of higher ideas, just like Myrtle Fillmore did. She began to lay hold of higher ideas about the truth of who she was. Ideas began to come to her. She began to create in new ways. And before she knew it, She had enough money. And so before the 8 months was up, she was so excited one Sunday morning when she walked into the Agape Center in Los Angeles, California. She went to their bookstore and she bought not one, but two. She bought 2 tickets for that cruise. She took the one and she handed the second one back and said, I want to pay this forward. The next person that comes in, tell them someone paid the way for them because my consciousness has been healed, has been changed. And Michael said it led to a kind of pay it forward, that as the next person came in and the next person came in, people kept doing that for the person before them. So when we're looking at the seeds, how are we investing our life energy? What's in front of you this moment? What are you sowing? What are you putting forth? What are you investing yourself in? Are they old hand-me-down ideas? Is it time to let it go, that it's not mine? What's in front of you this moment? This moment is your moment, my moment. The second thing, my intention. I like to say my honest to goodness intention. You know, actions matter. Yes, they do. But the scriptures also talk about the intention behind the action is equally as important, perhaps sometimes even more important. I'll give you a simple illustration. Let's say you hear, woman cuts a man with a knife and the man dies. Woman cuts a man with a knife and the knife dies. What's the intention behind that? Well, the woman was actually a very skilled surgeon. The intention was to operate. Her honest to goodness intention was to do everything she could to save the life of that man, but he died. Let's look at that very same thing. Woman cuts a man with knife and the man dies. What's the intention here? Well, this time, the woman is a rejected lover acting out of rage who cuts and kills an ex-lover. The consequences are very different. The exact same actions, you could say, but the intention, everything that surrounded it was very different. The reasons behind it. That's what Jesus was trying to say to people when he said, you know, why are you going out in the streets and you're standing there and your actions, you're praying, you're doing all these things, you're going through the actions. But look at your heart. What is the intention? The intention really matters. And so in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, it says, but I say, whosoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whosoever sows bountifully will reap bountifully. Let us sow and give forth in accordance with the purpose in our heart. What's your intention? What's the purpose in your heart? Let us not give forth, let us not sow our seeds out of obligation or with sadness, but sow and give forth with great joy. What is your intention? You see, our actions are always accompanied by an intention. The question is, are you aware and are we owning our intentions? I really think some of the things that have gone on this past week with a major court trial and people absolutely, apparently even refusing to listen to blatant evidence. I hope we're all asking ourselves, what are the intentions in my life? It's my choice. It's my intention. My moment and my intention. And these are ripe, these are opportunities. We're always planting seeds. My moment, my intention. The third is my environment. So we've got the present moment that we're responding. We have the capacity to be aware and to really get in touch with what are my intentions? What are my desires? What's my fears? What do I really want here? What do I really want to reap and experience in my life? And so now let me look at my environment. Environment is both an inner individual environment, what's inside of us, and the environment, our atmosphere, the larger environment that we surround ourselves with. You know, it's sort of like this. If I had a soccer ball and I were to kick it, I set something in motion, there's more to what may happen. If the wind is against my back, it's actually going to help it. If the wind is coming this way, it's going to slow it down. If the wind is just whirling, it's probably not going to go much of anywhere. Your environment is like that. That's the field. That's why Jesus gave parables about the seeds. He said, when you plant, some of the seeds, the birds may take them away. Some of the seeds are going to fall in the thorns. Some of the seeds are going to be in dry land and they'll be parched. You have to pay attention to the environment because you want your environment to be a fertile environment as well, inside and out. And so the willingness to pay attention to say, I may say I want this, I may say this is my intention, but what's my environment like? If you don't know, ask a handful of your closest, honest friends. Just tell them, just say, give me 3 words that would kind of describe what's my environment, what's my energy like? Ask 3 people and ask them to be honest if you're willing to smile at whatever they say and walk away. What's my environment like? I really learned this when I lived in Hawaii. When I lived in Hawaii, I had an unexpected lesson about my inner environment. After living on the island of Hawaii for about 3 years, and then when I moved back to the Seattle area, and just never forget getting to the airport, getting in the rental car, and starting to drive. And people kept honking the horn at me, giving me sign language. The sign language, when they pass you, people kept honking the horn. And I was looking, and I was going about 10 miles under the speed limit. Now, I have to tell you, that's always been one of my pet peeves, slow drivers. But after living on the island of Maui, where there's never more than 2 lanes, I don't know if there's a place on the whole island, I don't believe there is, where you get up above 45 miles an hour. It's so beautiful, it's laid back. So for 3 years, I had been in an environment that caused me to slow down. And it literally changed how I operated, because when I came back to the mainland, it felt like an assault on my nervous system. And it lasted a long time. I was just I barely went over 45. That does not go over well on the freeways in Seattle. People kept honking the horn. So I eventually had to get with it and had to pick it up. But I was acutely aware of how fast it felt and what it represented about my internal environment. You see, I had been a person who had pushed and efforted a lot in my life. I'd worked my way up the ladder, so to speak. I'd pushed, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I began to examine my inner environment and really realized that I had been pushing myself too hard and too fast, I needed to let it go. It's not mine. That there was a stem of unworthiness that was pushing me that hard. And I was so appreciative for that healing. And so the moment, your intentions and your environment, and that's the inner environment, but then the environment that we create with the people that we surround ourselves with. Paramahansa Yogananda said, environment is stronger than willpower. You may have plenty of willpower on the path, but find yourself in a non-supportive or negative environment. If this is the case, it's hard to reach your highest potential. The spiritual consciousness and energy generated by the Sangha, the spiritual community, those like-minded friends around you, the spiritual consciousness and energy generated by the Sangha is nurturing, empowering, and healing for everyone. We need it. We are it. The moment, the intention, the environment. That's why when we started the service and I said, you're joining with a growing number of people, you're joining with a consciousness, it matters. When you align yourself with that, it's as if the wind is to your back. And if your intentions are grounded in a good-hearted spirit, it's as if the wind is to your back and the seeds are, you have things working with and for you, multiplying the desires of your heart. Richard, would you give me that song? The law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping. My moment. My deepest intentions, honest to goodness intentions. My environment. And then what it comes down to is my life and my legacy. You see, nothing affects the world around you like the actions you take for the greater good. And as I was listening and singing Kelly's song, it's not mine, let it go, I had this real epiphany that, we're all going to come to some point in our life where we take our last breath. We'll come to some point in our life where we have to say, it's not mine, I let it go. That's what the mystics meant when they said, if you die before you die, if you realize that life doesn't happen to you, life doesn't happen for you, and life doesn't happen against you, that life happens through you as you, and that as you open and allow this life to operate through you, and to give, to say, it's not mine, I let it go. I give my time, my talent, my treasure. I give what I can. I sure take care of myself. I take care of my family. I take care of my future in this lifetime. Absolutely, that's wisdom. And I give how I can from my time, my talent, my resources, my energy, my attention. I sow these seeds freely because I realize that it's not mine to keep, but it's mine to invest in a legacy. It's mine to give into this world. Last story, true story. Many of you probably recognize the name Malidoma Somé. He was born in West Africa. And at the age of 4 years old, Somé was abducted by Christian missionaries. You should never have to put those words in a sentence together, but he was. West Africa, he was part of the Dagara tribe, abducted by missionaries, where he was taken over 100 miles from his village and put in a school and indoctrinated with the Christian teachings and a Western education. He was a very bright man. He did very well, but he also experienced a lot of abuse, unfortunately. At the age of 20 years old, he was able to leave and get out and make his way back home 100 miles to his village. When he got back home, they didn't really know what to do with him because he had been so indoctrinated, and they put him with the younger boys, and he had some rites of passage, and they realized that he was actually very intuitive and very special. He had great love and great powers for healing and for seeing and for a number of things. He went on to earn 3 master's degrees and a PhD, and today he's an African shaman, and his tribe told him, you're meant to go work with the Western world because you're a bridge between the mystical world and the everyday, in and out grind world, so to speak. Well, Malidoma Somé does this in his workshop sometimes. It's something that in his village in Africa, as a little boy, the first 4 years of his life, he remembered that every morning upon waking, they would go and greet someone else in the village, and they'd hold their hands and look in their eyes and start jumping up and down, and they'd sing a little song that says, Bobo Male, Shushu Mala, Bobo Male, Shushu Mala. And they would hold each other's hands and jump up and down, looking in their eyes. And he said what they were doing is looking and waiting for that light to come forth. And what it meant was it was a morning ritual. It was a legacy invocation. That what they were saying is, the light has come forth in me today, and today I will bring my light into the world. The light has come forth into me today. Today I will bring forth my light into the world. Can you imagine if every morning when you got up, you would hold the hands with someone, or even your dog or your cat or yourself, and you jumped up and down until you could see that luminosity in your own eyes, and you would say, the light has come in me. I have arisen again today. The light has come into me today, and I will bring forth the light into my world. What can I create? What can I give forth? How can I extend myself to be a presence of light and love and healing in this world? Robert Louis Stevenson said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but rather by the seeds you plant. We are responsible with our free will for the type of energy we create in our life. And I believe you want to plant seeds and create a life and a legacy that reflects heaven on earth, that reflects our highest and best. my moment, my deepest intention, my environment, my life, my legacy. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. As we turn our awareness within, we allow our shoulders to drop. A nice breath to fully be here now. We come into a world and go through our somebody training. We are too indoctrinated with ideas and thoughts and beliefs, and it's usually and most often from the best of intentions. And we take these hand-me-down ideas, these hand-me-down images of who we are, these hand-me-down seeds that have been planted for generations. And we operate, we continue to sow them and water them and live with them as if they fit us perfectly. And yet we realize that there's many things that we're aware of and far more that we're not probably consciously aware of that really don't express the truth of who we are as an expression of all that is. And so we can instill a daily practice to say, search my heart, O God. Look within me, create within me a clean blank slate. Renew within me a right spirit that is aligned with my highest potential. That it's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. And so I'm willing to let go of those things that are not creating an experience that represents my true potentiality. I'm willing to let go of the boxes and the things that I've drawn around other people to limit them. It's not mine, and I let it go. And in the letting go, I open myself to be impressed by the Holy Spirit. I open my mind to be illumined. I open myself to be an instrument of higher ideas, an instrument of light, an instrument of love. I ask to be of use. I ask to be of use for purposes that are good, for purposes that are healing. The things that I naturally love and am naturally good at, the things that I'm so passionate about, I ask to be of service, to illuminate, to help, to heal. And as I do this, what begins to happen is I become an instrument for higher ideas. I become an instrument for divine energy. And I begin to realize again that it's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow, let it flow. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow, Holy Spirit. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow, let it flow. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow. And so I let go of what no longer serves. I ask to be an instrument. I ask that in this moment, in every moment, that I really consider what I'm investing in, what I'm perpetuating. That with my intentions, I take time to know and examine what are the desires of my heart. What are these undercurrent intentions that really drive me? Reveal them and heal any that are not in alignment with my true potentiality. And what about my environment? What is it like? Am I a constant noise of angst, of doubt? Am I a wet blanket at everybody's party? Am I a person that is a cheerleader, that is a champion of believing in potential? Am I the individual that really thinks long and hard about things and then will respond in the most loving way possible? What is my environment? And am I consciously aligning myself with a greater community, a sangha, a group of people that I will invest and will collectively join in that collective energy and reap the results of that collective? My moment, my intention, my field, and my legacy, my living legacy right now, and what I choose to seed and to put my energy into so that long after I'm gone from this physical form, the love that I imbued, the way that I gave of myself holds up, gives on, lives on. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow, let it flow. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go, let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it go. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow, let it flow. It's not mine, it's not mine. Let it flow. Thank you, Richard. Happy Valentine's. It's not yours, let it flow. We want to thank you for being here this week again. We've got a little short sharing from Michael Winter and Jessica Ayala, who are the co-chairs of our Keepers of the Light, our yearly stewardship program, in just a moment, and then we've got a great song for you when we end. After that, if you'd like to tune in to Zoom, there's an opportunity for you to gather with other people from around the globe who have been watching this service live stream, to just join online for a few minutes and talk about how it impacted you. Last week, we had a number of people, and some from different states, and so we want to invite you to that. If you go to our website, you'll see the link, and again, that'll open up after we completely go off the live stream. So I want to thank you. Next Sunday, the third Sunday in February, is our annual meeting. We will be recording it, and we'll be able to share that with everybody. But if you're a voting member, you would have received an invitation. It's on Zoom. And so this year, because of the state of the world right now, it needs to be virtual, and it'll be a little bit different, but it'll be great to connect, to get an update, and to hear where we've been and where we're headed. So that's next Sunday following the service. We're going to have that. I want to thank you for your love, for your faithful support this week. Will you join me in really paying attention to how you sow and how you reap? And I appreciate some of you take time to send me your comments, your thoughts, your stories, your what's working, what's not. I love hearing from you. So if you have anything you want to share about that, I am all ears. So I thank you. I want to thank this team of folks for being here with me today. We want to thank you for joining us. And so here are a few words about this year's pledge program. It's a very important part of keeping this going on. And so here are Michael and Jessica, and then a song from our very own Cat. Blessings.
I'm Michael.
I'm Jessica Ayala.
We are so fortunate to be able to enjoy these Sunday services and our music online. But boy, do we miss connecting in person. We hope to have that back soon. In the meantime, the business of the church continues. And the two pledge programs, Keepers of the Light and Raise the Roof, that were introduced last year, they continue also.
Keepers of the Light campaign raises funds so Unity can meet its monthly expenses. The cost associated with keeping the building running, the technology that enables us to today's online services, and the staff that continues to lead, inspire, and serve us in their loving capacity. Our contributions enable Unity to plan and fulfill the annual budget. It is an annual pledge, whether you contributed last year or not. And if you did contribute last year, we're so thankful. But either way, we are asking that you just pledge whatever it is you believe you can give and contribute this year so that we can properly plan and fulfill this year's work. Go to unityblueridge.org, click on the donate button, and select Keepers of the Light pledge. The form is available to fill out online or to print and return. Multiple payment options are all explained on the form.
Raise the Roof. The funds pledged in this 3-year campaign cover the building improvements that have been made: sound system, lighting, flooring, HVAC, roof, and of course, the new patio roof. For those of you who pledged last year and contributed, thank you. We know you'll do what you can to fulfill years 2 and 3. If you're new to Unity, or if you missed last year, you can still participate. On the website, click on the donate button, select RTR, Raise the Roof, or call Unity and ask to have one of us contact you. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have about the campaign.
So in 2021, let us again demonstrate our commitment to giving back to that which serves us so much. If you have any questions, give us a call at 828-891-8700. Thank you.
One, two, three, four, five. So we're going to sum them up into a song. Now listen to me, because then you're going to follow along. Here we go. God is good, good in everyone. And a thought can change your water into wine. Prayer and meditation make it easy to feel. But you gotta walk the talk to make it real. Yeah. Ready for it? God is good, good in everyone. And the thought can change your water into wine. Prayer and meditation make it easy to feel. But you gotta walk the talk to make it real. Yeah. Play on, Richard. Keep it real. Gonna walk the talk, yeah. Make it real. Five principles, oompa. Five principles, oompa. Five principles, oompa. Say it with me. Oompa. Five principles. Five principles. Walk that walk. Talk that talk. Make it real. Make it real. Gonna make it real. Gonna keep it. Gonna keep it. Gonna keep it. Gonna keep it real. Walk that walk. Oh, I'm gonna talk that talk. Keep it over.